Hi, everyone. I am Doug Alsdorf, the author of Financing Your Future and also the instructor for a course that goes by the same name at The Ohio State University. All the data, all the spreadsheets that I'm going to share with you, and even these PowerPoint slides I'm sharing with you are available at this one web page link, and from there you can find the other web pages. This presentation is for Chapter 1. There are 16 chapters in my book. There will be videos for each and every chapter that visually show you through the chapters. And of course, I want you to read each chapter. Each chapter starts off with a limit of liability and a copyright. This is sort of standard stuff. I invite you to pause the video and read that. I am a professor of geophysics. My PhD is from Cornell. I'm a faculty member in the Arts and Science College at Ohio State University. I'm not academically trained as a finance expert. We'll come back to that in a minute. I've had a lot of life experiences, and now I want to talk about investing with you. My specialty is actually geophysics, and as such, I've seen a lot of data, analyze it, determine its scientific implications. As a scientist, I try to have an unbiased approach, and we're going to try to use that same approach to finance. I don't want your money. More importantly, I want you to do thoughtful things with your money. So, why should you listen to me about personal finance? After all, my degrees and research are not in finance. You should not listen to me. Rather, you should listen to the data. In science, we rely on models and measurements. We're going to take that same approach to looking at finance. In fact, what we're going to do often is use the continuity equation. The amount of money's flowing into your accounts minus the amount of money's flowing out equals a leftover for investing. These are familiar equations that we use in science as well. So we're going to look at models and measurements when we look at finance. The book, as well as the course, is divided into 16 chapters. Let's actually sort of get a handle on each one of these chapters by taking a look at the first 6 chapters. The first 6 chapters deal with your money inflows. That's the money coming into your account from your job, as well as the money's leaving your job. And there's 3 major expenses in life, and we'll talk about each one of them. There'll be a lot longer videos for those. Taxes, loans, and childcare are 3 major expenses in life. But to get us all started here in the next video, I'm going to talk about why are you investing in the first place? I urge you to invest for your retirement. Once we get into investing, 2/3 of the book is all about investing. Chapters 7 through 15 are all about investing. We'll start off with the amount of in my investing recommendations. I'm going to talk a bit about investing versus speculating, gambling. Don't gamble with your financial future. I'm going to talk about just what is investing. And finally, I'm going to walk you through the process of how you can do this yourself. So the first thing to do, of course, in any sort of introduction is to say, what's the really important thing to do? Reading books. I really want you to read books. The most important book I recommend to you is number 2. This book is all about investing. It is an amazing book. It's been around for a long time, and it still holds true today. These other 2 books, 1 and 3, they'll talk about other issues in our investing or in our financial lives, such as loans. They'll talk about how to look at loans. In particular, Jim Dowley talks about that because he is actually a doctor, a physician, and so they also have to deal with a lot of loans in their lives. Bernstein down here is also a physician, and he got into finance and he applied his knowledge and started talking about how to allocate assets, how to allocate your monies between stocks and bonds. So those are the most important 4 books that I recommend to you. But like every instructor, there's a few more books that I should recommend to you. You don't necessarily have to read these in order to do well in the class, to be honest with you. But I do want you to definitely read. Let's go back to this. I definitely want you to read book number 2 regarding investing. I will talk about with you in my videos and in my book about loans, childcare, and taxes. But these other books are also helpful, particularly book number 5 and book number 8. This is storytelling about speculations in the market. And these are really impressive stories, but they're not really good stories that you should be trying to follow. We'll talk about speculating. And then just to round it all out, here's another 4 books that you might consider. So that's my list of books. In fact, Shiller here, Robert Shiller is a Nobel Prize-winning economist at Yale University. We're going to be using some of his data, the S&P 500 data in particular. So you may want to have a look at his book. Now those are books, right? Maybe you, and there, some of them are a little dated, but they are very timely. They're kind of timeless, we might say. But maybe you want really live information. Okay, how about a couple of forums, web pages you can go to? I usually don't recommend web pages to you at all. I don't think much of anything that you find on the internet is worthwhile at all. Books, however, are very valuable. But if you want live information, here's two places where you can go to find other posters, other bloggers, other people who are posting content about investing. So, yes, you can go there, but always remember you don't know those people. Caveat emptor on that. So, finally, to wrap this all up, we all kind of, when we start off a course, we kind of want to know just where's the author going? Where's the instructor going to go throughout this course? This is what I'm going to suggest to you. Number one, read books. Definitely read books. I'm not really interested in you reading things like blog pages and web pages and whatever things you can find on the internet. Books by well-respected authors. I just gave you four that I think are really outstanding, preferably even academics who have to go through a lot of peer review. I think that's really important. We're going to talk about taxes. I want you to avoid investing schemes with short-term gains. That means no day trading, swing trading, etc. I'll touch more about that later on. Hey, renting is okay. A lot of times we get caught up like, oh, I got to buy a house right now. But you're not really missing out on a great housing investment. There's a down payment that you got to put down when you buy a house. There's interest on that loan. Those are extremely expensive. Property taxes can be thousands and thousands of dollars per year. Realtor fees, insurance, maintenance, and so on all add up to make owning a house very expensive. We'll talk about those. Childcare, yeah, it's going to cost you about $1 million per child. Have a family. Having a family is absolutely wonderful and beautiful, but be aware that there's going to be costs involved. The direct cost of actually raising your child is probably about $500,000, and because that 500,000 was not invested, total cost will be about $1 million. I want you to invest the maximum amounts you have into your tax deferred accounts. Those would be your IRAs and 401k. That turns out those tax deferred accounts are very beneficial for taking care of taxes until our retirement. I want you to buy a broad market passively managed index fund. That sounds like a lot of jargon. We'll talk about what that all means. Put maybe 80 to 90% of your investable monies into that one fund. Here's a recommendation of Schwab's fund. There's plenty of others you can do. I want you to put the remainder, say 10 to 20%, into a fund that follows a bond index. And most of all, reinvest your dividends, reinvest your interest. Never sell these until retirement. You're going to need to invest it. You're going to need to buy and hold for more than 3 decades. Most important of all, surround yourself with thoughtful, loving people. That's incredibly important. And let me always remind you of what I'll be saying throughout the book. Nobody can predict the future. I'm not making any promises of what the future will be like, but I will tell you how I go about investing, and hopefully that's advantageous and useful for you. So let's get started on the other chapters.